What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so we're going to get into several things today. I'm going to address something from yesterday that I touched upon for a little bit. The whole Mike Walls, Signal, phone calls, text message leak BS that was going on. Okay, so we got some more information. As if pressed by the internet, old Jeffrey Goldberg, or whatever the hell his name is, I don't even care. This guy's a scumbag of all scumbags. As if being pressed by the internet, goes ahead and releases the so-called classified information. And yeah, okay, so if the government is telling the truth and this is not classified information, I mean, come on, I kind of still want to see if this is actually real, if he's not making this stuff up. There's an apparent investigation going on, so hopefully we'll find out what happens. But, you know, Mike Walls coming out, at this point, I am down with him being fired outright, but Trump's not going to do that. But I am absolutely down with him being fired because you screw up, right? You come out, you say, look, I'm sorry, I'm responsible, and shut your freaking mouth. That's what you do. What you do not do is...
The president expressed complete confidence in you today and his entire cabinet. But how did a Trump-hating editor of The Atlantic end up on your Signal chat?
You know, Laura, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but of all the people out there, somehow this guy who has lied about the president, who has lied to Gold Star families, lied to their attorneys, and gone to Russia hoax, gone to just all kinds of links to lie and smear the president of the United States, and he's the one that somehow gets on somebody's contact and then gets sucked into this group.
Is someone in your intel? Is someone in your intel team trying to cause trouble here? Because that's the scuttlebutt out there.
Look,
that
we have people. No, look, this is a great group. The president has a great team. This is not first term.
No, your team. I'm not talking about the other principals.
No. These were principals and a couple of staff that were coordinating, as you saw, having a policy discussion as we went forward, and then just in the days before what was an incredible strike. Not only did we take out...
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. I really don't give a damn at this point. You made a mistake. You deserve to get fired. If Trump doesn't want to fire him, hey, I'm fine with that. That's Trump's decision to make. However, you know, adding this guy on, I mean, he goes on in that video to take full responsibility. And, hey, I'm cool with that. You know, now, take Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard, you know, them coming out and saying there was no classified information leaked. Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay, so you could say that, yeah, sure, it wasn't leaked because the guy was on that Signal chat, right? I mean, sure, it wasn't really leaked. So nobody was hurt, essentially, is what I'm getting at here. Once again, like I said, Trump fires him, good. Trump doesn't fire him, don't care at this point. But you don't come out and try to dodge the questions with nonsense, my guy. Sure, Jeffrey Goldberg is scumbag? Yes, definitely a scumbag. You got the, you know, what was it? The suckers and losers hoax. You had the weapons of mass destruction hoax. Yeah, he was in charge of, he was part of the weapons of mass destruction hoax, as a matter of fact. He's come out with several hoaxes. The Mexican casket hoax, the thing, it's nonsense. You know, the whole thing right before the run-up to the 2024 election when it came out that Trump supposedly said it doesn't cost that much to bury a Mexican or something like that. It was nonsense. It was just made up nonsense. So we had every right to believe that this was absolute nonsense. And once again, I'm still kind of hanging on to a thread that that's kind of made up. But at this point, it doesn't seem to be. It seems like, yes, this was either intentional, like once again, meant to be put out there, like I posited yesterday, as some kind of public relations deal, right? Like get the messaging out there that we didn't want to strike the Houthi rebels, but we kind of have to, y'all. Like, yeah, I'm not buying that, right? I just can't buy that. I think it was a screw up. And it's just aggravating as hell to watch this guy sit here and just dodge all these questions. Like, he says, oh, yeah, I was totally responsible, but still you're dodging the question outright. Just say it's your fault and shut your mouth, my guy. Seriously, you're only making things worse. But it is what it is. I understand what he's trying to do. I just don't agree with it. Now, getting that out of the way, that took much longer than I expected it to take, and I could still go on with that forever, probably, because that just aggravated me today. When Jeffrey Goldblum or Goldberg or whatever the hell his name is, who cares, right? He's a scumbag. But when he dropped all that information, I'm looking at this like, God, okay, so they released the time when they were going to drop some bombs. I wouldn't call that war plans, right? Like, he's trying to drum this up, and that's not war plans. That's strike plans, but that's playing semantics, right? Kind of is. Semantic game here. It's not war plans, though, for crying out loud. But it definitely is strike plans, and it definitely should fall under classified information, because, once again, you don't want this information to get out. And here I go again, right? Like I said, right back into the mix. God, it aggravates the crap out of me. But it is what it is, right? And, you know, he definitely said it wasn't one of his teams, you know, with some sort of subterfuge trying to sabotage Donald Trump. Hey, you know, that could still be a possibility. He just might be ignorant, or maybe he's just like, I'm going to just take the lick. I'm going to do what I got to do, whatever I got to do, however I got to do it. It is what it is. But let's move on, please. Right? Right. Okay, so Harry Anton, my favorite CNN correspondent, as a matter of fact. Man, I love CNN, because they are still on with this Trump derangement syndrome stuff, right? And even after seeing the poll after poll after poll after poll, and I love saying poll after poll after poll after poll for some reason, but even after seeing these polls, they're still on with their Trump derangement syndrome nonsense, as a matter of fact. But Harry Anton comes out and
look at the percentage of the country who say that we're on the right track. It's actually a very high percentage when you compare it to some historical numbers. What are we talking about? According to Marist, 45% say that we're on the right track. That's the second highest that Marist has measured since 2009. How about NBC News? 44%. That's the highest since 2004. Wow. The bottom line is the percentage of Americans who say we're on the right track is through the roof. And if you were to compare it to when presidents have historically been reelected, of course, Trump is not constitutionally eligible to run for re-election, but I think it sort of puts it in perspective. 42% of the country says the country is on the right track when the incumbent party is re-elected. And also keep in mind, back when Kamala Harris lost and the Democrats were turned out of power, only about 27 to 28% of the country said the country is on the right track. The bottom line is right now, a much higher percentage of the country says we're on the right track.
Now, what I find so fascinating about all of this, right? Like, I come across this news article, and I can't get the clip. And I'm like, you know, it got the news article saying what he just said in there, and it shows the little spot where you see the clips, the link, you can click on it and it'll play on the web page or whatever. But it won't load. That's under Mediaite. Right? So I'm like, what the hell's going on with this? So I'm like, screw it. I go to their actual internet page, because I did it off of Ground News initially. So I went to Mediaite's actual internet website. Same thing. I'm like, that's odd. That's very strange. So I'm like, okay, let me go to the source then. So I go to CNN. Nowhere to be found. Look, and I'm not lying. This is why this is so strange to me. CNN, if you go to their YouTube page, their web page, every time Henry Hinton does one of these little segments on these polls, they always post the videos. Always. This one's not there for some reason, and I can't seem to figure out why. It's not on the CNN homepage. I had to go to YouTube and search for this thing, and sure enough, I can only find it from outside sources. Sky News, as a matter of fact, was the only one that had the clip. Sky News. That's it. So it's like they're trying to suppress this information for some reason. That is why I added it to this video, folks. That is exactly why I added it to this video. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is that it's working. Our campaign is absolutely working. The American people actually see what's going on. This campaign from the corporate press and the mainstream news that, oh, Trump is bad, Trump is evil, Trump is always down in the polls, his favorability is in the gutter, y'all, it's really, really bad, is not working with average everyday voters, or at least the people that were polled, I'll put it that way. But I think for the most part, right? Like, we've seen the videos from Chuck Schumer talking about actually getting these activists to go out to Republican districts, to these town halls, and activate themselves, if you will, and make it look like Republican voters are revolting against the Republican lawmakers. And I find this to be absurd, because how can this be unpopular, is what I'm trying to get at. People thinking that the country is on the right track. Something must be going right? If Donald Trump's popularity is in the gutter, Congress's popularity is always in the gutter, Supreme Court's in the gutter, every single other metric is in the gutter, how can we be on the right track, you might ask? Well, that's because the American people like what's going on. They might not like Trump as much as you think, but they do love what's going on. You know, you go to the polls, you see Elon Musk, he's pretty bad off too. But people like what's going on for some reason. Like, it's blowing my mind. It's making me believe that these polling places, right, Marist, iPost, The Hill, all these other polling places, they're kind of trying to fluff these polls. And, you know, polls like this, it doesn't look great because it's only in the 40% number. But like Harry Enton was saying, that's high, as a matter of fact. Most of the time, we're at an historic high, actually. So this is actually kind of good for what's going on in the country, which is great. I'm loving all of this. But you know me, I don't just run clips and discuss those clips, do I? No, we always read the news around here, and I've got an interesting bit of news for you guys today. Check this out, y'all. Canada bars Tesla from rebate program over Trump tariffs. Oh, Canada is trying to turn it up to 11, and this is a very bad maneuver on Canada, as a matter of fact, on Ottawa, if you want to say that. It's a very bad maneuver on Ottawa because, you know, once again, Tesla is its own entity. Elon Musk might be the CEO of Tesla. Actually, I'm not even sure if he's the CEO of Tesla. I know he's the founder of Tesla, but I'm not sure if he's the actual CEO. I know he's the CEO of SpaceX and X. No, he's not even the CEO of X, is he? He just owns these places. He owns the majority shares or whatever. So, like, it's its own company. It's a car company. Why are they targeting an independent car company that's completely separate from the United States government because of Trump's tariffs? That makes absolutely no sense. But there's another reason I'm covering this, is because, once again, the corporate press, in their infinite wisdom and their infinite manipulations, they can't keep up with all their manipulations. So sometimes when reading these news articles, they give the game away accidentally. And that's exactly what they're doing here. Now, we remember all the rhetoric on tariffs, right? Oh yeah. Now that's going to be important. All the rhetoric. It's a tax on you. That's what the corporate press is trying to tell you. Oh, these are terrible. They're going to tank the economy. This is a tax on you. Keep that in mind, y'all. Let's go. Canada has barred electric vehicle EV giant Tesla from all of its rebate programs and banned the Texas-based automotive company from future electric vehicle rebate programs over President Trump's tariff back and forth with Ottawa. Canada's transport minister, Chrystia Freeland, who is, I'm not even going to say, but I imagine you can think what I am thinking right now, said in a Tuesday statement to Reuters that Tesla will not be eligible for the rebate program as long as the illegitimate and illegal U.S. tariffs are imposed against Canada. Yeah, I wouldn't call them illegal. No, because once again, bringing it back to this, we were supposed to have free trade between Mexico, the United States, and Canada, right? That was the deal, free trade between the countries. And I'm sure you are under the impression that we did have free trade between these three countries, at least. But there's not, because Canada has been imposing tariffs on the United States. Like, it's on not very many products. I'm not going to lie about that. It's very few products, but we are still getting tariffed. This is part of the reason that Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canada, right? The other part of the reason, the majority of the reason, was to get them to handle their side of the border. But Canada imposed tariffs on many dairy products, and in some cases, up to 300% and 400% tariffs on some of these products. Now, it didn't amount to a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but that's not free trade, is it? So, Donald Trump wants to get them to take care of their own border, right? And then reciprocal tariffs, he just imposes a blanket 25%. Do this and we won't impose these tariffs anymore. They refuse. They decide to go to war. Okay, that's stupid, but hey, that's their move to make, if you will. Trump slapped a sweeping 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada 3 weeks ago, only to delay most of it until at least April 2nd. And we know why that is. They were negotiating. But, you know, the Hill, in their infinite wisdom of the corporate press and manipulative tactics, they don't want to let you know that. That, yeah, they were negotiating to handle the borders here. Mexico agreed. So Donald Trump took the tariffs off. Imagine that. The president is set to announce new automobile tariffs on Wednesday, Bloomberg News reported. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who this week called a new election, wrote that auto parts cross the Canada-U.S. border 6 times on average before final assembly. In a trade crisis, that's a vulnerability. It's time to build more cars right here at home with an all-in-Canada auto manufacturing network, the new Prime Minister said Wednesday on the social media platform X. Ottawa's move halts around $30 million in rebate payments to Tesla, a company led by tech billionaire and close Trump advisor Elon Musk. Before the program was shuttered, Tesla submitted a substantial number of rebate claims, with one Tesla dealership in Quebec City seeking almost $14 million in subsidies, according to the Toronto Star, which first reported on the rebate freeze. Now, what I find fascinating about this is the New York Post, when they reported on this, they actually put the amount as, like, I think it was $20 million. As a matter of fact, let me go look real quick. This might take a second. Okay, so I'm sorry, it was 20 million, but it was 20 million Canadian. So they transferred that. So I apologize for that. I didn't notice. So let's keep going. Freeland said each of Tesla's rebate claims submitted before the freeze would be probed individually before being approved. Now, what the New York Post did say is the actual amount in rebates, which was $43.1 million in rebates, which is absurd amount of rebates. And why are they targeting Tesla? I wonder why that is, right? Elon Musk, I mean, he's a government employee, sure. But once again, Tesla is a separate company. This is just insane. And this is part of the derangement with these people. And I can't stand this. Just because Elon Musk is working under Donald Trump's government, all of a sudden they're going to target and attack, for crying out loud, a car company, an electric car company. This is just insane derangement, if you will. And I can't stand it. But let's keep going because I want to get to my main point. Earlier this month, Tesla warned the Trump administration that Tesla and other U.S. exporters could be targeted with retaliatory tariffs in light of Trump's escalating trade war. While Tesla recognizes and supports the importance of fair trade, the assessment undertaken by USTR of potential actions to rectify unfair trade should also take into account exports from the United States. Tesla said in a March 11th letter to U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. U.S. exporters are inherently exposed to disproportionate impacts when other countries respond to U.S. trade actions, said the unsigned 3-page letter. Now, what that essentially is, hang on just a second, why would Tesla be disproportionately affected by this? It makes you wonder. Now, take the corporate press narrative, like I was talking about earlier, on these tariffs. Corporate press narrative is, this is a tax on you. This is absolutely a tax on you. Trump's going to impose these tariffs, and your avocados are going to go up by 25%. Just boom. That's it. It's a tax on you. He's taxing the little guy. It's disproportionately affecting the poor people and the minorities for some reason, right? Because I guess in their mind, white people can't be poor for some reason. I mean, I'm a living example of this, but, it is what it is. But I just find this so fascinating that a representative with Tesla wrote a letter to the United States government, to Trump, essentially saying, we're going to be disproportionately affected. Now, there's ain't no telling if this is true or not, but it's being reported widespread, so it probably is. But once again, it gives the game away here, right? If these tariffs are just a tax on you and he's taxing everybody, all the poor people for some reason, why would a representative with Tesla be worried about this? Right? Because under the corporate press narrative, and some economists, apparently, what this is going to do is Tesla, they're just going to have to raise their prices by whatever percentage tariff it is, right? Right? Wrong. Once again, this is like I always say, a lot of times, most of the time, to be competitive, especially with automobiles, you cannot just go and raise the price of automobiles 25%, for crying out loud. That would be ridiculous. Think about how much that would be. You got a $100,000 vehicle here, raising it by 25, that's $125,000 now. What? No, they're not going to do that. They're going to absorb a lot of that cost. But once again, this blows that narrative apart, because why would the car company itself be worried about this? Because, they're going to lose some sales? They're still going to be making the same amount of money, right? No, it's because they're going to have to absorb that cost. They're going to have to absorb a lot of that cost. Sure, some of it's going to go up. And I don't agree with rebates anyway. I don't like these subsidies for crap like this. I understand why they're doing them, but I still don't agree with them. But hey, this is part of the industry, and that it is what it is. We can't really stop these, because you stop these and all hell breaks loose, right? You lose funding, and Congress people think that they won't get reelected if they stop subsidies on big automotive or big pharma or any of these other places. Right? It's just ridiculous, the subsidies. But look, it is what it is. We subsidize stuff. I get it, right? So anyway, now getting back to the main story on this, I think it's insane. I think it's deranged of these people to impose sanctions essentially on Tesla because of actions of the Trump administration. But once again, in corporate press fashion, they give the game away here. No, these tariffs do not tax you necessarily. And what I like about this is because now if Donald Trump decides tax cuts for everybody, right, including the rich, because they always say that, right? The corporate press, they always come out, Trump's tax cuts for the rich. Well, hang on just a second. What sense would that make? How popular would a man be if he was in control of taxes and only cut taxes for the rich and didn't cut taxes for everybody? Yeah, he would never get elected again. Of course, Trump doesn't have to worry about that. However, Trump is not that guy, right? He's like, okay, I understand, the backbone of this country is the middle class. That is the backbone of this country. And, we need to reduce their taxes a little bit. So what this does, this is my grand theory of these tariffs. He reduces our taxes, right? Imposes tariffs where he can. And the companies are going to absorb some of that. So therefore, that is splitting. That is actually raising taxes on the corporations, because they're not just going to go around and raising the prices by the exact same amount that they're getting tariffed. No, they're going to absorb some of that to stay competitive. This is why you don't tariff just everybody blanket. That's exactly why you do that, because now you have to stay competitive with the market. You got imports from this country and this country and this country. You're only tariffing this country. Well, if they raise their prices 25% because they're getting tariffed to tax you, they're not going to sell any more of those. So what are they going to do? They're just going to go out of business? No, they're not. That would absolutely put them out of business because of some tariffs. What are they going to do? They're going to absorb that cost. So then, therefore, the corporations are paying the tax. You see how this works? And this is something why I don't understand why the left doesn't like tariffs. They take the corporate press narrative on this. Oh, it's a tax on the little guy. No, actually, if you think about it, if you work all this out, sure, the little guy might get a little bit of tax. Sure, the price might go up just a little bit. However, they're going to absorb, the company is going to absorb that, so the company is getting taxed. We're taxing the corporations, for crying out loud. Should you guys be happy? But no, they don't think about that. They just, like, that's part of the problem with Democrats. Some Republicans, but mostly Democrats. They don't think in the long term. They think in the here and now. What can we do to subsidize this right now so we can save this right now instead of thinking about the long term? These tariffs are meant for the long game. What are we going to do 10, 15, 20 years down the road, right? How do we bring back manufacturing to the United States? How do we make America great again? Right? We've got this deficit problem, this budget and deficit problem going on. We've got this debt ceiling problem going on, which is my next video, by the way. Cover that. Make sure and stay tuned. Smash the like button, by the way. I always forget to say that because I guess I'm irresponsible. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like bothering people with telling them to smash the like button. But, you know, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to be reminded to do these things. Otherwise, you know, it's not, you don't smash the like button because you like the video. You smash the like button because you want to help me out. That's all it does. It helps me out, for crying out loud. Sharing the video is an even bigger help. You know, subscribing to the channel helps a ton. Signing up to become a member is the best thing you could ever do if you want to help me. That would be great, you guys. I would love every single one of y'all. But, you know, this is just insane, specifically targeting Tesla on this. Right? And I can't stand the corporate press and their lies constantly. You know, oh, Elon Musk is, oh, he's a rich billionaire and he's the president of the United States and, oh, Donald Trump's giving him all kinds of money. What? And he's doing this job for free. This man, right, sure, his wealth might have increased over the past several years, but you know what? He's taken a heavy toll, right? Narratively and also financially, he's taking a toll by going in and cleaning up the federal government. But he understands something like Donald Trump understands, like I understand, like you probably understand, if I know my audience well enough, that this country, we need a 180 about face turnaround going the other way because we were going down the wrong track. And with Trump coming in, stopping all this nonsense, stopping the funding of these NGOs and all these nonsense programs all over the world, stopping this because we have a spending problem in Washington, D.C., and it is absurd. It is blatantly absurd. How do you get to $1.8 trillion deficit spending, folks? Yeah, you have a credit card problem. That's what you have. A credit card spending problem. You think that, oh, well, you can just kick the can down the road indefinitely. Well, you know, everybody can't do that, y'all. Everybody can't do that. It is totally unfair to allow the government to continue to do this. And they can't continue this forever, by the way. Sure, they could just destroy the debt ceiling and never have to worry about defaulting. But you know what? Those interest payments are a bitch. Yeah. Those interest payments are an absolute biatch. And they are rivaling the Defense Department budget right now. So that is getting insane. But I see I'm going long on this one, so I'm going to try to cut it off here. I could ramble on forever. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. It blows my mind. Just absolutely blows my mind, everything that's going on. From Mike Walls to Trump's, you know, the country going in the right direction. Popularity. We're almost at half of the country believes we're going in the right direction. That we should be cheering for this, y'all. All the way to Canada actually targeting a single car company any way it can. It's absurd, y'all. And, you know, of course, the tariff narrative. Y'all make sure and let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day.